You ever walk into a room and feel like the verdict's already been whispered behind your back? That was me stepping into the cramped little courtroom in Fairview County, clutching a single sheet of paper while the woman across the aisle, Miss Loretta Van, sat smug behind a mountain of paperwork packed into two-wheeled suitcases. Her grin said it all. I've already won. Loretta was the president of the High Pines Homeowners Association, a title she brandished like a sheriff's badge. Impeccable nails, a storm gray pantsuit that looked starched into shape, and lips so tight you'd think a smile might crack her face in half. She was suing me. For what, you ask? For painting my house, cutting down my trees, and coughing up over 30 grand in back dues for an HOA I'd never signed up for? The wildest part wasn't that she tried, it was that she believed, without a shadow of doubt, that she had the power to make it happen. But let me back up. This whole circus started with a bucket of paint and a gravel driveway I'd just wrapped up construction on my dream cabin, 15 years of saving, one stubborn vision come to life. 5 wooded acres on the eastern edge of High Pines, their gated community butting right up against my property line. My cabin technically sat outside the HOA boundaries, but close enough that I could see their cookie-cutter rooftops from my porch. I didn't build to provoke. I built 4 peace trees, quiet mornings, and enough elbow room to stretch without hearing a lawnmower fire up next door. I painted the place forest green to blend into the pines. Built the gravel drive myself. Put in a wraparound porch to watch the sunset without any chatter about lawn length or trash bin placement. But apparently, that kind of peace is offensive to some. It started on a Tuesday. I remember because I was drinking my coffee when she arrived, marching up my driveway like she owned it. Clipboard clutched in one hand, sunglasses perched like a crown. She didn't knock. Just stood at the gravel's edge like the trees had personally insulted her. You must be the new owner, she said, sugar-coated with just enough sharpness to sting. Loretta Vance, president of the High Pines HOA. Pleasure, I said, trying to be polite. She didn't bother with niceties. Flipped her clipboard open and launched into some rehearsed monologue about community standards, visual continuity, and aesthetic expectations. Said my house looked out of place, my driveway didn't meet specs, and that the color I chose was jarringly organic. I blinked. Ma'am, I said, I'm not part of your HOA. Her smile was the kind that comes without warmth. That's debatable, she replied. There's a 1996 planning map that includes your parcel in our future development zone. Well, I told her, I bought this property from the county in 2009. That map's older than my deed. And no one ever mentioned an HOA. She just smiled again, deliberate. I'll be reviewing the paperwork, and review she did. What followed was weeks of harassment dressed in formality. Letters arrived every few days on unofficial HOA letterhead, stacked with citations for rules I never agreed to. No visible laundry, no unapproved landscaping. No one letter even demanded I remove my fire pit because it broke visual cohesion. With their community's tree line, I ignored them, thinking she'd eventually get bored. But Loretta didn't give up. She doubled down. She dragged in the full board. People I'd never met, and convinced them I was lowering property values with my cabin in the woods vibe. She presented slideshows at meetings, printed aerial photos. With red circles around my house, even set the presentation to ominous music like I was some kind of environmental villain. She hired a surveyor, hoping to dig up a technicality. And sure enough, she latched on to that crusty old 1996 expansion map like it was a golden ticket. Then she filed suit. I was elbow-deep staining the deck when the process server showed up. Poor guy looked embarrassed.
Out!
Don't shoot the messenger, he muttered, handing me the thick envelope. Inside, 23 pages of legalese claiming I violated a dozen HOA rules. Demands included repainting the house in either High Pines beige or driftwood taupe, removing any tree over 12 feet within 30 feet of the structure, replacing my gravel with synthetic stone, and paying $500 per year in dues for the past 5 years plus interest. Total, $32,450.50. I'm not the type to cave when someone rattles a clipboard at me. Instead, I made one call to the county recorder's office, told them exactly what I was looking for. A couple days later, They found it. Once I read it, I slept like a baby. Which brings us back to court. Loretta showed up early. Her suitcases thunked against the bench like weapons. I sat down with a manila folder, 1 page inside. Judge Patricia Steinberg presided, tough reputation, sharp mind, zero tolerance for drama. She called us up. Loretta launched into her speech like it was opening night on Broadway. Quoted bylaws. Painted my property as a fire hazard. Said my presence was destabilizing to neighborhood cohesion. She went on for nearly 3 solid minutes. Then the judge turned to me. I stood, handed over my paper. She read it slowly, then adjusted her glasses. It was a certified county document, dated July 2nd, 1994. It's clearly showing that my property was officially subdivided and sold before the High Pines HOA ever existed. It explicitly excluded my land from any current or future HOA jurisdiction. Judge Steinberg looked up. "Miss Vance," she said, "your HOA didn't exist when this property was legally created and thus has no authority over it. Is that correct?" Loretta opened her mouth, then closed it again. The judge continued. "This court finds your claim baseless and bordering on harassment. You've attempted to weaponize civil litigation to enforce rules on a property you have no right to govern. That ends here. Case dismissed with prejudice." Loretta couldn't refile. The HOA had to pay my legal fees, just under $5,000. The judge also slapped them with a cease and desist. No more letters, no more clipboard inspections, no more showing up on my land. But what really hit was the judge's final words. She looked Loretta square in the eye. "Perhaps your community would benefit from leadership that understands the limits of its authority." Loretta wilted in real time. Her paper fortress meant nothing now, and word traveled fast. That night, the HOA board held an emergency meeting. They voted her out unanimously. Even her allies jumped ship. Turns out, no one liked footing the bill for her personal power trip. Every resident got hit with a $40 assessment to cover legal costs. It's not a popular move. A few of them showed up. On my porch later that week, beer in hand, sheepish smiles, lots of Loretta horror stories. They weren't fans either. They'd just been afraid. Not anymore. As for Loretta, her day job was real estate. Classy office, fancy signs, polished image. But when her broker caught wind of what she tried to pull, she was suspended within 48 hours. And the state launched an ethics investigation shortly after. Last I saw her, she was sitting alone in the HOA meeting room, surrounded by boxes of documents that no longer meant anything, head down, defeated. And yeah, I almost felt bad. Almost. Look, I'm not anti-OA. I get it. Structure, maintenance, community, pride, that stuff matters. But there's a line between order and obsession, between stewardship and steamrolling someone's rights. So now I'm curious, what about you? Ever tangled with an HOA that went too far? Seen someone go mad with mailbox power? Drop your stories below. I'm listening. And I promise you're not the only one.